Hey everyone and welcome back on the channel. My name is Alex. In today's video we are reviewing the Saucony Endorphin Speed 5. The Endorphin Speed was a shoe released in 2020, I think, for the original version in that mutant colorway. It was a banger. Everyone loved it. It was a wild ride that people simply adored. And since then there has been a mixed bags of Endorphin Speeds. Some better, some worse. And number 5 is right here. Version 5 is right here. Let's see what it has to offer. But before diving into the specs, this video is sponsored by Roadrunner Sports, a retail website out of the United States. They're kind enough to send this shoe and they have no interest in me giving a good or a bad review about the Saucony Endorphin Speed 5. They're selling all brands, all shoes, and they simply want you to choose the best shoe for yourself. They have a wonderful website on which you can find many shoes, including this one in the mutant colorway that I referred to because Saucony brought it back for this 5th iteration. You can browse it. There's a link in the description. If you want to help us, we get a small commission if you use that affiliate link to go to Roadrunner Sports. And most importantly, thanks to them for believing in our work and helping the channel to grow. In terms of specs, it looks quite similar to the Saucony Endorphin Speed 4, but there are some differences as well, so bear with me. The sag height is still sitting at 36 millimeters in the heel, 28 in the forefoot for that 8 millimeters drop. The weight in my size US 11 is 265 grams. And the price point for this shoe is $170, 200 euros, which is on the disappointing side when it comes to euros. Very appealing if we're talking in terms of US dollars. And because you're shopping at Roadrunner Sports with a link in the description, we're talking in US dollars today for this shoe specifically. And $170 is quite an appealing price point for this product, I must say. The differences are, first of all, in the upper. This shoe is coming with a very lightweight upper. It's very breathable. It's quite pliable, as you can see. The heel is relatively rigid, stout, without being annoying or anything like that. It just offers with a nice lockdown. Probably better than V4 if I'm being honest here. The tongue is semi-gusseted and it's very good, although maybe it could be just a smidge longer. This would prevent from having the laces being laced exactly on the edge of the tongue, so maybe just half a centimeter extra in terms of tongue length would have been perfect. But I like the tongue material, I like the tongue padding, it's very solid. When it comes to the upper material itself, like I said, it's breathable, pliable. It allows for also quite some room in terms of the midfoot and the forefoot. The volume of the toe box is also quite good thanks to that very pliable and thin material, leaving quite some room for your toes here in the toe box. The Endorphin Speed has always been on the narrow side of things when it comes to the platform, and this one is no different. It's maybe a tiny bit wider here in the midfoot, which is welcome, but how does it translate in terms of the upper? I would say that this shoe is for people with average width in terms of their feet. Sadly, if you have wide feet, this shoe might not work for you because it's, again, a bit on the narrower side of things in terms of the platform, but also the upper fit is more on the long and narrow side of things here. However, if you are in between sizes, this is definitely a true to size, leaning towards being a bit long, so maybe you would want to go half down, but for me, this is really a true to size shoe. I had in the past some abrasion with my pinky toe in the Endorphin Speed 2 and 3, if I remember well. This is not the case anymore, and this shoe fits really well, and I was really pleased with the overall performance of that upper that I believe is also, first of all, a nice upgrade coming from the Endorphin Speed 4, but also a good upper and a good material for the warmer summer days. When it comes to the midsole of the shoe, we are still looking at the trusty components that made the fame of the Saucony Endorphin Speed. Power Run PB, PBA based, bedded material, meaning that you can see the small PBA pellets on the outside of this midsole foam. And then yes, there is a stiffening element that you can see right here through that midsole, outsole opening, small window here. The blue plate is a nylon plate, meaning that this shoe has really that stiffening element, allowing for some nice return of energy like this. We can play with it all day long because it just snaps really well. That's the magic of nylon plates. They're a bit more pliable, a bit less rigid compared to carbon plated shoes. This is really how nylon plates work. They give you also a bit more flexion in the forefoot, meaning that this shoe makes you work also a bit more when it comes to your muscles in the feet, but it also has that very distinct snappiness at each step, which makes it very joyful. How is the ride of this shoe? I think joyful is really how you could characterize it. It has one distinct difference with the Endorphin Speed 4, which pleases me a lot and might please some of you, but might also disappoint some of you big fans of the Endorphin Speed. It is a bit stiffer and a bit more rigid compared to the Endorphin Speed 4. The Endorphin Speed family in general has always been on the softer side of things and let's say on the bouncy, soft side of the spectrum. This is snappy, but also a bit more rigid and a bit closer to the ground. I am not necessarily bottoming out with this shoe, maybe a touch here in the forefoot when toeing off, but this shoe is really just a touch more rigid, which I personally like because the Endorphin Speed 4, for instance, was slightly too soft and slightly too unstable, especially when picking up the pace. It's a wild ride. It has always been a wild ride, maybe becoming a bit more gentle and polite over time. The version 1 remains that, you know, really wild shoe that was offering lots of fun, but also was not necessarily for everyone. And the Endorphin Speed lineup in general became a bit more, let's say, consensual. This shoe here is just removing some of the wildness and softness coming from the Endorphin Speed 4. It is something that I enjoy with this shoe because, again, it allows it to be slightly more controllable and slightly more versatile for me personally, for my preferences, which is having something a bit firmer. This is definitely not firm, but it's firmer coming from V4. It's not firm because that material, it has still quite some compression, quite some energic decompression. It's very snappy. That nylon plate, like I said, is acting really well. And I would use this shoe for many different things. I wouldn't use it for easy and endurance runs, but everything coming from tempo, threshold, intervals, I think this shoe will definitely shine. Why not endurance and long runs? Simply because I prefer having something a bit more protective underfoot, not necessarily with more foam, but with a foam that compresses a bit less and avoids the bottoming out here in the forefoot. But anything that makes me work in my lower legs, in my feet, tempo, threshold, intervals, again, I think this shoe is shining. I did some marathon pace in it just today, and it did a very good job at keeping that pace fun and enjoyable. I wouldn't probably run a marathon in this shoe, although if you are a runner with 1 or 2 shoes in your rotation and you don't want to spend more money on the Endorphin Pro or the Endorphin Elite from Saucony, this is definitely a shoe that could go the distance for a half marathon or a full marathon race. Releasing on June 26 on roadrunnersports.com. Thank you so much to Roadrunner Sports for sponsoring this video. I am very grateful to be working with Roadrunner Sports as a partner, and if you want to help them and help us, just use the link in the description. It will take you to their website. You can order this shoe or anything else. And yeah, thanks for watching. Enjoy your run today. Enjoy your ride. Go beyond your limits. Leave a comment. I'll try to reply and see you in the next one. Bye-bye.